Guys, and welcome back to Ivy Williams Fashion. Today I'll be showing you how to cut a simple block bodice. This block bodice is actually a beginner sewing project. You can do it by yourself, learn at the comfort of your home, and be able to make yourself your clothes. So let's proceed. Another important measurement that we'll be needing are these. According to sizes, and then the size of the chest. So if you're a small size between 24 to 28 inches, you're going to be needing, I'll explain this as I cut or as I measure what this front armhole depth means. So let's proceed. I will start by ruling a 1-inch line here. The next measurement we'll take is from this point. We're going to take our armhole measurement. For this project, I'll be using 9 inches for the armhole. So this is the armhole measurement. 9 inches. I'm going to rule that out. The next measurement I'll take on this circumference is the bust measurement. The bust is from the shoulder. Mine is 16 inches. I'm going to rule that 16 inches. So I'm going to rule that out too. So the next measurement I'll take is the hip measurement. The hip measurement that we're using is 24 inches. So this is our hip measurement. Also go this way. Our hip measurement is 24. Okay, these are our vertical measurements. I've ruled them out so that we'll just impute the measurements. Now we're going to check the shoulder. Remember, is 16 inches. When you divide 16 inches by 2, we're going to get 8 inches. So I'm going to put this here. We're going to come down here by 1 inch. I'm going to slant the shoulder by 1 inch. Three and a half inches for the neck width, and then the neck depth I'll be using 4 inches. This is for the front measurement, so I'll be using 4 inches so you can see. Okay, so now I'm going to curve out the neck. Since I want a round neck, I'll just curve it out using this my ruler curve. Just curve out my neck. So this is how you curve out your. But if you don't have this multi-curve ruler or your French curve ruler, what you're going to do is just go in by 1 inch or 1 inch and a half or 1 inch and a quarter, and then you mark and then connect the lines. So now we're going to join this slanted point, 1 inch slant we measured at the shoulder. We're going to join it to the neck. For the back neck neckline, I'm just going to go down by 1 inch. I'm just going to go down by 1 inch. If I go down by 1 inch this way, 1 inch or 1.5, but let me use 1 inch. Then I'll just rule this line too, connect with this one. The next thing I'm going to do is to curve out too. So you see, it's a very simple thing. Just connect the two lines, this part to here. Sorry, that didn't rule out well. So you just connect it, and this is your back neck line. We're going to add the bust measurement. My bust, like I said, is 10.5. So I'm going to put it in now. So this is our bust measurement. This is our chest or armhole measure line. This is our bust line. This is our waistline, and this is our hip line. So the next thing I'm going to do, very important, is to impute the measurements. I'm going to impute the measurements now. For this bust measurement, what did I say the bust is? 42 divided by 2 is 10.25 inch. So this is our measurement. Then we are going to be adding 1 inch for seam allowance. Now for the waist, I'm going to add the measurements now. My waist is 38, and when you divide it by 4, you get 9.5. Mark that out, and then add my 1 inch seam allowance. Then the hip measurements. Now for this hip measurement, we said it is 44 inches. Now for the 44 inches divided by 4 is going to give us what? 11. So we are going to mark 11 plus 1 inch seam allowance. We're going to mark it out. So the next thing we are going to do before we join the lines is our armhole. Now to get this armhole measurement, I'm going to look for the midpoint of this line, which is 8 inches, and that will give us 4 inches as the midpoint. So this is the midpoint. Now from this midpoint, I'm just going to mark this to join this line. Remember when I told you that you'll be needing that chest size measurement? We're about to use it now, so you just mark out like this. So this now is the back armhole. This one now is the back armhole. We're going to work on the front armhole now. That is where this comes important. Now because this person I'm making for is a size large, 44, I'll just go in by 1/2 inch and I'll mark. So I'll join these two lines together first. Then I'm going to curve in to meet this line with this one. To meet this line, I'm just going to curve it in. If you don't have this, I'm going to show you a pattern you can use. So if this part now is the front armhole. This part is the front armhole. This one is the back armhole. From this place, in order to give you ease, you are going to be adding 1 inch from this point, from the front armhole. The back armhole now, you're going to be adding 1 inch. You're going to rule that. This is where our armhole ended. We're going to add 1 inch. So now we are going to join these lines together. this is the first measurement. This is our seam allowance. So I'm going to join it to this one. This is our waist. So you're going to be using this ruler. This is the vary curve ruler. You can still use it to make your hip curve. So we're just going to go this way to our hip curve from here, and then this one too. See, because the hip, this part is supposed to be curved out, it's not supposed to be straight. And then you smoothen this line. You can decide to use this part to smoothen out the line. Use this part to smoothen out the line. So if you don't have it, you just use your normal hand and your free hand and smoothen it out. So this is how to cut your pattern. The next thing we are going to be doing is the darts. Now on this dart line, you will need a measurement known as the bust span, or like other people like to call it, nipple to nipple measurement. It's very important. Now for this pattern, the nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. Now when you divide that by 2 on the waist, you're going to get 4 inches, but I'm going to add ½ inch for sewing it together. So I'm going to mark 4.5 inches here. Then on this bust measurement, now on this bust line, this vertical measurement, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Then I'll go up by 2 inches and mark. Now I'm going to rule a straight line from here to here. So this is your dart line. So on this dart line now, we are going to go ½ inch on each side. ½ inch this way, ½ inch this way. You mark out. So what are you going to do next? What you do next is to meet with this line. So you're going to meet it with this line. And repeat the same on this side. Join it with this line. Do the same this way. And the same this way. So there you have it. This is how you make your darts. So let me cut out to show you what this pattern looks like. Now before I cut out, I would like to say that for this part you can then add your seam allowance. If you want it to be a straight cut clothing, you can just go down straight, but let me just slant this one too this way. Then for this side, I'm going to add ½ inch upwards here for sewing allowance. So I'll just go up by ½ inch this way. This one is already ½ inch, and then this way too. That is our seam allowance for the top part. So we're going to cut it out now. I'll be cutting the back first, then I'll cut out the front. If the back is going to have a zipper, you're just going to measure 1 inch for the zip at the back, and then you mark out up to the top. Just measure out 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch up to from up to down, and then you cut out the back first. The back will then have an extra 1 inch for the zip, whereas the front would remain the same. So let me cut it out and show you what I mean. I'm going to start with the back. I'm going to cut out the back armhole. So this is how we cut out the back parts. Now I'm going to cut the front out now. Now, so this is the front pattern. This is the back pattern with an additional 1 inch. Maybe I should rule it out so you can see it clearly. So this is the additional 1 inch for zipper allowance. If this is your if this were to be your fabric, you just notch at this point, notch at the bottom too, so you know when you're sewing you'll be able to identify where your zipper should start and stop. Make sure you notch at every point so that when you're sewing you'll be able to align your fabrics effectively. See how the front armhole went in. This is by 1/2 inch. If it were to be somebody that is slimmer in a small size, perhaps maybe medium, it would go in further. So this is how to make your basic block pattern. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to give me a thumbs up and to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye bye.